Coming up in today's Love Talk, we have our 60-second celebrity couples, a trip for two, and of course an insightful look into today's topic with our guests in the studio, so be sure not to go anywhere. It's the worst thing imaginable for any couple when they find out their spouse is ill. So many plans and so many hopes are quickly shattered as their main priority becomes making sure they are both well. Could you really put a price on the one you love? Though marriage is a union designed for two people who say they love each other, that love is really tested to be true or not when they go through an illness. Here is a surprising fact, stated by the Daily Mail Online. Researchers found that divorce was 6% more likely if the wife fell ill than if she remained in good health. In contrast, a husband's health did not change the likelihood of divorce. Let's find out more about this from our presenters in the studio.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Love Talk program with me, James.
And with me, Helena. Well, in sickness and in health, in poverty or wealth, till death do us part.
We all know those traditional wedding vows, but the question is, do people really live by them? When an illness comes up in a relationship, how do people deal with that?
Well, they're very easy to say, but how true are we to them? You know, as life goes on and how, things happen, like you said, how true are we to these vows?
Because the thing is, when people get married and they project their future, they don't really plan for these things. They don't think, I'm going to get married and one day this person will get sick and I'll look after them. You know, you plan for the beautiful things, the great things. But then, unforeseen circumstances happen, and at some point, whether the person has a flu or a cold or something worse, you will have to look after this person. How does that affect the relationship? How do you deal with that? That's what we're going to be finding out today.
Indeed, I was thinking these are promises that we are supposed to keep forever, because this is what really shows that you love the other person. That's my opinion.
According to The Telegraph, sicknesses among wives are one of the reasons why marriages are likely to end in divorce, which means men are more likely to quit a marriage because the wife got sick than the other way around.
Seriously, that's very, very sad. Well, let's find out what people on the streets think about today's topic.
How serious do you think people take the vow in sickness and in health?
Yeah, I think in sickness and health is very important. I think if you're going to commit to having a relationship and getting married, then that's one of the that's one of the tenets of the contract, if you like. That you can't just it's very important. You can't just give up on someone because they're sick.
I think they probably do. I work in healthcare, so I see lots of people who are with their partners who are unwell, and most of them are very supportive.
I don't think people these days have the capacity to understand really the true meaning and heritage of what that actually entails. So I think a lot of people would just kind of take it like water off a duck's back, really.
Do you think it's easier to still love them in the same way because of it?
Depends why it's changed, doesn't it? Depends if it's something that's going to change back or not, or whether it's whether they're still themselves or not. It can be difficult. It could go either way. If they've got a problem that they're never going to be the same again, then that's very difficult.
Obviously it's difficult, but I think if you've made the right choice with your partner, then you'll stay loyal and faithful to them.
How do you think an illness in a relationship could affect someone's career?
Well, it potentially could have a very serious effect. I mean, if they were forced to reduce their work hours so they could care for their partner, for example, or had to move to a different part of the country because the weather wasn't right for the ill person, it could potentially have a dramatic effect, I imagine.
Today's society, the jobs and the opportunities for people, there's not very much going on in the way of allowing people to have, more of an advantage when it goes to the workplace and what kind of things that they might need, extra kind of needs for that person. So it's quite restrictive these days. I mean, especially if it's wheelchair access, and people aren't very, it's a very competitive kind of mindset. So, I mean, the weak, unfortunately, and the physically disabled get left behind a lot, so.
Well, the Daily Mail points out that illness can put a financial strain on a marriage. And not only financial strain, but it causes a strain as a whole, because all of a sudden you see this person you love, you looked up to, and the person is debilitated. In some cases, they can't look after themselves. That takes a toll. Then there is a financial strain because you have someone who perhaps can't work, and you have to work twice as hard to provide for your family while still looking after that person. It can be a very straining situation.
Yes, it can be, and I'm sure that it is. But even though it is, I don't think it's an excuse for people to just for someone to abandon the other person or to just divorce the person. I mean, there are lots of support groups out there that people can look into, see how much they can be helped. But leaving the other person like this is it's already bad that the person is ill. Imagine when you leave the person.
So by the way, let's put to one side those who have these terrible intentions of leaving the person they're with. Let's focus on those who truly want help. Because if you truly love someone and the person is going through a difficult time, then, even though you can't plan for that, you can be prepared with the right tools so that if that happens and when it happens, you'll be ready to help that person that you love.
It's true, but trust is something that a partner would expect from the other person, but it doesn't always happen. So this is something that really marks that moment of their life, because you are in a relationship and you think to yourself, you know what, I can trust this person, and then suddenly the trust is shaken.
And it's shaken whether the two people want to be there or not. It's just shaken. It happens. Some illnesses are so severe that it leaves you like stunned. You don't know what to do, like a rabbit in headlights or like a deer in headlights, whatever way they say it. And we're going to address this. I believe that when you finish watching this program today, you're going to have a better understanding of how to help your partner, or how to allow your partner to help you if you are the one going through this illness.
Absolutely. For now, let's watch this video to get to the heart of this topic.
I feel angry at the cancer for destroying everything, every dream, hope. I feel like I've gone from building a life to having nothing and to readjust it.
Everything stops. Totally everything stops. You want to jump off the world, but you can't because you want to be there for her.
I was diagnosed with cancer in August of 2013 and I was 32. My cancer, endometrial cancer, I'd never even heard of. I'd heard of ovarian and cervical and breast cancer, but endometrial, it was kind of like, what is that?
It's a special cookie.
I never would assume that just having to take a womb away would be the only hope of being cancer-free. I had to have external pelvic radiotherapy, and then I had to have something called brachytherapy, which is internal radiotherapy. They basically put a radioactive rod inside the vagina, and you're basically sat in a room. You're not allowed to move, and I had to have it for 19 hours at one go. It was really hard. Radiotherapy is a very intense burning pain. You just feel like your whole vagina's on fire. But only that, it's like when you go to the loo as well, just like really burning sensation.
Your heart sinks so far at times when you see her in pain that you wish you could take that pain and take the pain instead and give some of your life back to her.
So we're doing some cooking with Auntie Claire.
All her friends are married and have children. She would have been perfect. What a mum she would have made.
What are you doing?
I can't have children. I can't physically have children. I think that's the hardest part about everything, really. It's just... Sorry. I always wanted to be a mum out of everything in life. And I know some people can say to you, well, you left it too long, or you should have settled down in your 20s and stuff, but you don't think about that.
Do you want another rice cake?
But I won't deny there are times where I think, why can't that be me? Like, why can't I have that family? What did I do to deserve it?
Devastation. Trauma. Plenty of tears. And then you put a brave face on to say, it'll be all right. And then you go away and cry.
They discovered that in my husband's family, nearly all the women who died have died from breast cancer. The youngest, I think, was 45. And then there was a couple of incidents of bowel cancer on my side of the family. So Claire's been offered genetic testing.
If I'm found positive for the gene, it means I'm at higher risk and higher probability of getting the bowel and breast cancer. And then I'd have to face all that journey as well.
I've done quite a few, actually.
This is your bucket list.
I think my biggest fear is having to say goodbye when you're not ready to go yet.
Japan, Hong Kong, China. They got one whole Asian trip there.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not ready to say goodbye. I'm ready to keep fighting. But I guess I'm scared the fight's a bit bigger than me.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about how people who've made the vows in sickness and in health deal with that moment that no one plans for, that no one expects, which is an illness. You know that at some point you may go through this, but you don't know when it's coming. So sometimes it takes you by surprise. How can you deal with that? How can you make the most of a relationship when there is an illness?
Well, you'd never expect that your new husband or new wife would become sick suddenly. So it is a shock to your system. Mm-hmm. You know, there is a need many times for the person to get to understand what the illness is about, look for places where you can find help. Sometimes not only, not just medical help, but spiritual help. Mm-hmm. This is important.
Yes. And let's just say something, because we are talking here, we have to talk about the two sides. The side of the person who is going through an illness and the side of the person who's caring for the one with an illness. Because the truth is, it affects these two people in a way equally, but on another way very differently. Because, of course, the person who's caring for the one who's ill, he doesn't have an illness, but yet he does struggle a lot seeing that person sick. I remember I had a serious illness when I was younger, and I remember my mom saying to me, if I could, I would take your sickness from your body and put it in mine. Sometimes you love someone so much that if you could, you would do that, but it doesn't solve the problem. So sometimes, like we were saying earlier, saying, look, I'm here for you. And this is the key that we want you to get from this program. If that person is unwell, is ill, if you say, look, I'm not going anywhere, I'm here, trust me, don't worry, you're already doing a great service.
Absolutely. No, I believe that how you handle things makes a huge difference. Huge. This is actually, we're going to learn from our guests today how much of a difference how you take care of the person makes a person's life.
Absolutely. Now, before we meet today's guests, we interviewed someone with an amazing story. We had to do the interview via Skype because she's in a different country. But we believe what she said, it's really interesting.
Yeah,
and it
good
can help
advice.
you if you are going through a situation like this. Have a look.
Hello everyone, we are here today with Barbara Kiewowitz. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And also her husband, Richard Weisberg. How are you today?
Lovely. Doing great.
Yes.
You?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for, answering our questions. I've got some questions for you. And the first one, Barbara, is what is your inspiration behind your book?
Well, the inspiration is that both my co-author and I were the ill partners in a relationship with our husbands. And we were stunned by how profound an effect the illness had on our relationship, and also how important the relationship was to our eventual healing and recovery.
Right.
And there were no resources out there for help for couples dealing with illness. So that was the inspiration. It was very personal.
Wow, I can only imagine. I mean, I'm sure that after you've written your book, you've come across a lot of stories of people who went through. Tell me just something. I mean, I don't know if it's private, but tell me of which one was the most shocking for you so far.
The most
if you
shocking.
can remember, yes.
Well, I have to say, all the stories were very moving, and people really let us into the inside of their experience living with illness. And we learned a great deal. So among the learnings, one very important one was that illness changes everything. In an instant, it's like a stray bullet, just hitting you. In an instant, your life is inside out. And a relationship of equals becomes one of patient and caregiver. That's a profound change, and that's a very typical change. But there was one couple we spoke with. She had actually suffered a stroke. She was in her 40s with 2 young children that paralyzed the right side of her body. And she needed help with daily activities, with dressing, with eating, with bathing. And even though she was the patient and he was her main caregiver, he decided that he was not going to help her with those kinds of chores. He wasn't going to do it. Not because he was uncaring, but because he did not want to become her nurse. Because when she got better, and he hoped and prayed that she would, he did not want to have the legacy of being her nurse to have to undo. He wanted to remain the protector of their adult emotional relationship.
Wow.
So there she was struggling with buttoning her blouse, and he was not going to help her. They had other people who could help. And she was angry at first.
They were good insurance.
They had good, in the United States, they had very good health insurance. And she was angry, very angry. Why wasn't he helping her? But after she did start to recover, she was glad that he had made that choice. So the lesson for us is that while, yes, you become patient and caregiver, be very, very thoughtful about how you want to do those roles.
If we have right now a couple who are going through an illness, whether with one of them or both, Richard and Barbara, what would you say is possibly the one most important thing for them to remember to get them through this difficult time? If you could give them one advice, what would be the best advice you could give them?
Richard.
I would say, remember in the airlines when they tell you, when they go through that lecture at the beginning of the flight, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on your child.
Right, yes.
Kind of the same thing. The caregiver has to remember that you can't help your sick partner if you don't take care of yourself.
Wow, that's
a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, I was very lucky because my sick partner here, who's now well, mostly well, I'm happy to say, was very wise. And I remember very vividly one night where she kicked me out. She was very sick. She was hurting, but she said, look, I'm fine. I'm okay. And you're not going to be any good to me if you burn out. So go out and have a beer with your friends. And I'm going to be fine for a few hours, so just do it. And of course, it was a blinding flash of the obvious. When she said it, I knew she was right. If I burned out, a dead hero is no help.
Right.
That's very wise, Barbara.
And I would say, when you're living with illness, cancer, stroke, multiple sclerosis, you name it, you're filled with emotions. You're filled with fear of the illness, anger at the illness, maybe anger at the person for getting sick. It doesn't have to be reasonable, but you're filled with feelings. And I think a lot of couples have this collusion with each other around remaining silent about their feelings, out of fear that if you say it out loud, if you say, Richard, I'm angry at you because you're okay and you can go out and do anything. You know, it doesn't have to make sense. But I think couples collude in keeping it silent out of fear that if they say it out loud, it will make things worse. But the truth is that if you don't say it out loud, but it's your inner truth, it's what you're living with inside, then you wind up becoming more and more distant from your partner and talking about superficial things instead of what really, really matters. So I would say to couples, we call it speak the unspeakable. Speak what's so hard to talk about. Do it at the right time and do it coming from love and with compassion for yourself and for the other. But don't remain silent. Speak about what's going on inside.
But it's amazingly therapeutic. I mean, you don't think it's going to help, but it's magic.
Right. And I think something you said, Barbara, is very important because you have to say it at the right time. Because sometimes you can say something that it's very truthful and important, but if you say it at the wrong time, you end up making matters worse. So I think the points you both made there are very valid. And I actually had never thought about this in the way that you said it, Richard, that you can't really look after that person who's not well if you're not well. So that's amazing. Thank you very much.
Point. I just have one more question for Richard, if that's okay. Because you are the husband, and for husbands out there, especially the younger ones who just got married or are considering to get married, but they are very mature, and they think that marriage is only about, you know, the good things and everything being all is well and appearance, beauty, and all these things. What could you say to these young husbands or husbands to be? I mean, give them some advice, because we hear, please, because you know, we hear of so many stories, sad stories, of when the wife becomes ill, the husbands leave, the husbands behave in a different way. I mean, what could you say to people like that? What's your wise advice?
Well, the wise advice I would say to everyone, husbands and wives and everyone, is remember that life is beautiful and no one gets out of this life alive. No one.
True.
And,
that's a good one.
and you know, some of us are going to live short lives and some of us are going to live very long lives, but we should all try to live while we're living. And I would say never forget to live each day, whether you're sick or not.
Okay.
And I would just add to that, if I may, that neither the husband nor the wife, the partners, whoever's sick, who's ever the caregiver, you don't have to do it all alone. You have community, or you can build community. And you need to reach out and use the supports in your life, whether they're family, friends, professionals. Bring them in and use them. Illness is hard to bear. And I think the caregiver, whether it's the husband or the wife, often feels so alone and so overwhelmed, they don't know what to do, so they leave.
Right.
Get help.
I think we understand better now from your experience how you know, illness can be tough to deal with, but it can also be a moment where a couple can be more united than ever before. It can bring you closer together, and that's perhaps the one positive thing among perhaps a negative one that can help couples. So thank you very, very much.
I want to share what someone said with us. This was very touching. He said that illness can be the jolt that removes the dullness from life and unveils the potential.
Wow,
that makes sense.
Thank you very, very much for joining us.
May I,
Sure.
with your permission, just mention the book and how people can find it?
Absolutely, yes.
Go ahead, yes.
So the book is called In Sickness as in Health, Helping Couples Cope with Complexity. You can find it on Amazon or your local independent bookstore, and the website is insicknessasinhealth.com. We hope that if you need it, that it helps you.
And that's in sickness as in health, not in sickness and in health.
Yeah, In Sickness as in Health.
I love the title, love it very much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you once again, Barbara and Richard. It's been a pleasure having you here with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
We hope that this interview has helped. You can see it's from a real life experience that Barbara was talking there. But we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, you're going to meet today's guest, who is here in the studio with us. And trust me, even though this woman has gone through what many people haven't even dreamt of going through, she faces her problems with a remarkable amount of courage and joy. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So let me introduce you to today's guest. We have a very special guest here with us today. She's a comedian, and perhaps comedy has helped her to push through life's problems. So let me introduce you without any further ado to Glenda Jackson. Hi, Glenda.
Hello.
How are you?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Is it true that comedy has played a big part in you overcoming the problems you've been through in your life?
Yes, it has, yeah. Because when you're going through certain things in your life, people around you, it's not their fault, but they always make you feel like you're all right and you just need to go out on stage and just make people laugh.
Right.
Because you're depressed.
Let me understand a little bit about yourself. You've been married for how long?
26, I can't remember, a long time.
26 years.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about you. A few years ago, you were diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
Right? Tell us about that and how did it affect you? How did it affect your marriage?
It actually, I've been married to my husband for a long time, so you take people for granted. He's just a husband. But he went into proper, saviour, my nurse.
Really?
And before I had cancer, I had an abscess. And I had, so he was there looking after me like a proper... And it was good. I was so... I wasn't there really because I had chemo and, I had aggressive cancer. So I had to go to the hospital every day, twice a day for chemo and radiotherapy. So I'd come home and just lie down and I just, he'd be around me and just said, eat this. And I'm like... But he was great. He's great. He was very, very, very good.
Some people say that when an illness shows up, you find out who you're married to.
Yeah, two things can happen. I know people who had cancer and they kind of realize they don't want to be with that person no more. It frightened them. So it works different ways. I appreciate what my husband done for me.
Right.
That's love. That's real love.
Yeah, it is.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's real love.
I know you loved me anyway, but
but this is the extra mile of.
Yeah, and he's my little secret because we wouldn't tell nobody much, So he was quite.
Because that's the other thing. You were saying before we started recording here that you didn't immediately go out and tell everyone that you had cancer, right?
No, because I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I remember, I could tell you how it happened. My mum wasn't well. So I went to the hospital, to the doctor with her so she can get her checkup. And I said to the doctor, I've got this thing in my throat. And I don't really know what it is. And he said, well, we'll take the test and everything. That was Monday. And on Friday, they phoned to tell me the doctor phoned, the receptionist, and she said, you need to come in, the doctor wants to see you. And I said, no, I know what it is, I'm not going to come. And they said, why? Well, I said, because I don't want to hear that sad voice, you got cancer. So I said, no, leave it like that. And then they phoned me and told me that you need to come in. And I said, you need to tell me on the phone, I'm not going to come.
Right.
And I went and told them. And excuse me, my voice goes up and down.
No
so
problem.
It's okay.
Yeah, so he said to me, you got cancer. And I said, okay, let's go. Let's get it.
But why do you say that you kind of knew you had? Tell me about that.
I didn't know, but I just, when he said, well, you need to come in, if I didn't have cancer, he would have told me, you're all right, we took the test. But I just knew it was something serious, and I just didn't want to see the face. You know, there's a face.
Right.
You know, that sad, sorry, you're going to die face. You know, I didn't want to see that. So I said, well, I'm not going to come in, forget about it. And then he said, no, you've got cancer.
But what level? I'm not sure that's the word it's used.
Well, you mentioned it was an aggressive.
Aggressive.
Yes,
cancer,
because
so
I must have known I had something wrong a long time ago. And I wouldn't acknowledge it. So I let it just...
Right.
So now I got to the stage where I actually went. I mean, I've known for months. Something was wrong. As a woman, you know your body. So...
True.
I just kind of like, oh, whatever, yeah. But then when I actually got there, I said, you know, you need to check this out.
When you said earlier that you didn't tell your mom, for example, and there were some people you didn't tell immediately, were you
I didn't
trying...
tell my mum and I didn't tell my younger son. I didn't tell, no, I've got 2 boys. I didn't tell none of them. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know, you know, because, you know, there's daddy's there, but they love mum.
Of course.
You know, daddy's there, but mum,
Mum is
you know,
mum, isn't it?
Yeah, mum's mum. And they mean the world to me, you know, and I thought I was going to lose them or they're going to lose thing. But when the doctor had told me straight away that it's curable, but I didn't hear that.
Right.
I didn't hear that. My husband heard it and I just thought, I'm unlucky, knowing my luck, it's going to be...
Let me just ask you something. Sorry,
Yes.
to interrupt you. Did your husband go with you to the doctors when they called you?
No, I went with my mum first.
Okay.
Because he didn't even know that I was worried. I just kept this to myself. You know, some people, they you know, because no, I didn't tell him. But when I actually found out that day,
yes,
I remember coming home and sitting down at the edge of the bed and just sat there and go, you know what? I got cancer. And he just went, what? And I'm not lying. There and then, 10 years went on him. I just saw an old man. He just went old.
Glenda, how long did it take you for you to do the whole treatment and beating cancer?
From January to to beat cancer, I mean, they told me 2 years ago that I was clear.
Right.
And I just said, I didn't tell no one again.
So, you know, you went from having this marriage where you were healthy, he was healthy, and everything was supposedly great. All of a sudden, you have this illness. How much did your day-to-day life change?
When I had cancer, it was just... well, every day I woke up, I'm up. That was one of those, and I'd look at him and I'd go around every day. It was just like that, making sure that, was I dead? Am I in heaven? Am I still here? And I'd just go around to every bedroom and I'd look at, and he tried to be as normal, but
it's never...
No. I mean, you know, he heard the doctor say, you got your cure. But he was more worried that I was going to make myself more sick, because you can do that. I mean, I could make myself more worried, and so the treatment won't work. Oh yeah, I mean,
from the moment you give up, isn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't.
You.
You know, I was one of those people that, come on, let's get on with it. Come on. And I don't know if I was lying to myself at the same time.
But it might have helped.
But I just thought to myself, I'm not ready to go. And I hate saying that to people, because they might be thinking, well, my auntie died, was she not ready? Each to their own. You know?
And you know, a lot of people, Glenda, when that happens, because no one is prepared for this, when a sickness attacks just like that. And a lot of people don't know what to do with their loved one who is sick, with the husband, with the wife, the girlfriend who's sick. What was the one thing your husband did that helped you the most? Was it the way...
He left me alone.
He left you alone, gave you your space.
But he took care of you, but he gave you your space.
So he didn't leave you alone packing the bags and leaving.
He slept in a different room.
Really?
He made a room downstairs for me. I just wanted to, you know, I just didn't want... He came, he gave me a hug, he'd lie down, he'd fall asleep, and then I'd get up. And he'd go upstairs, but I just wanted that time. I didn't, that time alone. I wasn't sure how long I got it.
And did you tell him that you wanted your space?
Yes. He kind of knew, because there was a time
He
he
respected
yeah,
you.
he did. He was very good, and I still didn't, I didn't tell the kids yet.
And so the reason why I'm asking you this is because we were interviewing someone who said that it's important, if you are going through a serious illness, it's important you tell your loved one how you feel, that you, for example, like you said about your space, he kind of knew, but you also told him.
I was very weak, so I
right.
mean, it would be rude and disrespectful if he tried to be kind of,
Of course.
Weird, didn't it? So you're an alien. But yeah, he respected that. He didn't
make you feel bad because you couldn't do what you usually do.
Yeah, he was great. He was very, very good. I can't fault him at all.
So you got to know him a little better after that happened.
Well, you're married to somebody for so long who's the man. Very, doesn't cry for nothing. If I'm crying, if I'm watching a program. Like there was a program that used to be Extreme Makeover where they got their new house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be crying away. I'd be crying and he'd walk in and you hate him because one thing we don't, he's coming, he's going to say something. And he'd say to me, stand by the door, do you know them? Why are you crying? I do. So, and I know he was crying. I used to hear him crying in the bathroom, quiet, and
But he didn't want to cry in front of you?
No, and I didn't want to cry in front of him.
Okay. Well, we need to go to a break, but I know there is another side to this story, which you're going to tell us after the break. But the one thing that I wanted people at home to keep in mind, and I'm sure you'll agree with me because you've said that, is that if you are going through an illness yourself, and you're married or you're in a serious relationship, or your partner is going through an illness, the important thing is to tell the person what you feel. If you feel upset about something, if you want space, or if you don't want space, because some people react to the illness in different ways. Some people don't want to be alone. The closer they are with someone, the better. So it really depends. So the one thing to keep in mind in this part of the program is this, be honest, be sincere with the person.
Tell them what you want.
Exactly, what you need to get through that, okay? But when we come back, there's another twist to Glenda's story, and I want you to hear that. Don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome to the 60-second hottest celebrity couples. Marriage season may well and truly be over, but these couples couldn't possibly wait until next year. Jennifer Aniston and Justin Theroux. Since Aniston and Theroux got engaged in August 2012, there have been countless tabloid stories claiming the couple was planning a secret wedding or breaking up. All of that was officially put to rest when it actually happened on the 5th of August at what was known to be Justin's 44th birthday party. Well done. Not many people can keep secrets in Hollywood. Courtney Cox and Snow Patrol frontman Johnny McDade recently got engaged and were rumoured to get married at Ashford Castle in Ireland. Though secret wedding rumours have also been circulating for this pair. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are another couple that recently got engaged, with him buying her a ring that didn't fit. So in true scrimper style, he kept it for himself. You'd better buy her another one. We'd think you'd know her ring size by now, Mr. Depp. Aren't all these weddings so romantic? See you next time to discover more about the hottest celebrity couples. Bye for now.
Welcome back. So you've been accompanying Glenda Jackson's amazing story. Now,
Indeed.
You heard how she went through a very traumatic time because of the cancer, and she beat cancer, thankfully. But there was a time, and I'm going to go back to you now, Glenda. There was a time where, without expecting, again, illness attacked your family again, but this time someone else. Tell us about that, please.
It was my husband. 29th of December last year, I was in Birmingham and I came home and he wasn't there. He wasn't there, and I was like, where is he? Because he's the person, he works from home, he does his music and everything. And the lights were on, and there was a phone there, there was a shoe there, there was this there, and I just didn't know where he was, and I started to, not panic, but like, okay, maybe he's gone to this friend. but it didn't happen. And the lady next door was doing something, and she knocked the door, and I looked out the window and I said, by the way, have you seen my husband? And she said, yes, he went in an ambulance on Saturday, and there and then, I just thought to myself, oh my, an ambulance? Is he dead? And she goes, well, he was talking. So that brought back the being, oh my gosh, to, okay, he's alive. Okay. And then we have quite a few hospitals around the area, but I phoned one straight away. I mean, I just went to that one. And the lady said, yes, he's here, and just come to the 9th ward. And I said, well, what ward is that? She wouldn't tell me. And I was, please, what ward? No. I think they won't tell you what it is because, So anyway, I jumped in a cab and got to the hospital, and I got out the lift, and all I could see was stroke. Everyone, he's had a stroke, and I got upstairs to the thing, and I said to them, I'm looking for my husband, and I told him his name. And they smiled, and they said, he's just over there. And I went, thank you. But as I got into the ward, everyone had their curtains opened, except this one. And I just pictured he was with wire, had it all, tubed up, wires.
You were thinking the worst, right?
Just everything, like what you see on TV.
Of course.
And I stood outside the door, and I took a deep breath, and I thought, and I pulled it back, and he was there, and he went, and then I went, that? Really? And I went the other way around. What you doing here? Yeah. I went like that nagging wife. Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. And, why? And then we started to cry, both of us. Why? And then he cried, and then I cried. But he was alive.
You went from being cared for by him,
yes,
to being the carer.
Yeah.
How? I mean, did it make you appreciate him more because he cared for you before? Did that make you?
I didn't even think about that. I didn't think. We have a laugh about it now. Oh, so it's my turn, is it now? But I said to him one day also, I had cancer, so you just had to go and have a stroke. Did you really? But I didn't even think about it. I just thought, you know what? Not even he's my husband. That's my mate. He's my best friend. He's my
other half, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not just a husband. He's my friend, And I just thought, what am I going to do without my friend? I've never really lost a good friend to know that, so this is my mate, my friend. We argue, we're friends within seconds. He cooks very nicely because he doesn't like me. Apparently I can't cook. And I've never tried to prove that I'm right.
Just let him cook,
yeah,
isn't
of course,
it?
yeah. But he was there, and then he tried to say something to me, and then I realised he can't talk properly. And then he got frustrated, then he cried again. And this is a man that doesn't cry, so, and then he was crying more than me because I was like, he's crying. He he did cry at my wedding, like our wedding, and I was still saying, why are you crying? Did you want to be here? But he cried, and it was just like, he can't talk, and then he got upset.
Right.
So then I tried to help him. Now, as a wife or a mother, you try to say the words that you think that he's going to say, but it's not. And there is no training. You like to be a parent. You're not trained to be a parent. So I haven't got that patience what everyone else has. So when he tried to say a word, and then the first 2 times I said, like he would say, and I'd say cup, and he'd go, no. And I go, okay, all right. But then then after that, he's getting a bit vicious now. So I'll be like, oh, well, I can't do this. And then he'll just like go. And then, I was there to talk for him, even though I was saying the wrong words, But we've been married for so long that I thought I knew it. I think sometimes you're just doing it to wind me up. But then the washing, he tried. But as a man, it was hard for him to, because he's as I told you, he's left home at the age of 9, done his little hustling, lived it. So to have somebody, and he knows I'm not well. Because, you know, after the cancer, having the cancer clear, I have no saliva. My mouth is dry. I have to have, you know, moisture. So, and I choke, you know, so I'm just trying to handle it now.
Right.
But, you know, and as I was saying, that my mouth, and I'm glad I'm here because my mouth, I can feel it's doing a bit of a, something is going like Beyonce to the left. You know, I can feel it. And people look at me and they look at, one girl said, do you suffer it? And I said, no. She said, you got your mouth at the side. And this is because of the cancer. The cancer was on the tonsils. So they've taken all the lymph node. I think they took 40 something away. So this side, which is the right side, is fighting to keep this side. So every now and again, the mouth will just go to the side. And, you know, it's happened to me on stage. And I've lied, I've got a toothache. But, you know, so he knows I'm not well. And I'll give you this. I was at home once and I slipped down the stairs. And it's just 2-3 stairs. And I phoned him and I said, you wouldn't believe it, I just fell down the stairs. And then I got a phone call and it was from the nurse at the hospital. And she said, you know, your husband's putting on his clothes, he's coming home. And I said, why? You fell down the stairs. I said, oh, I'm all right, I just fell down. And he's going, no, and I can hear him say, no, she needs me, and yeah, and he came up, he just jumped in a cab to come and look after, and he's so
even though he's not well, he still wants to look after you. I want to ask you something because we need to wrap up. If a couple is going through something similar that you went through or that you are going through, when it comes to that, when a marriage is really struggling because of an illness, what is the best advice you can give to a person who's going through that right now?
Even though I say I didn't speak much, I spoke to him. He knew everything. And you need to let the person know that how you're feeling, how scared you are, you know, because we are scared, you know. And I've got the husband that's stubborn. We talk every day about him being scared now. He won't say it, but I will. And then he'll, okay, and I have to go on, you know, you are scared.
You're an inspiration.
I hope I am. Everybody's different, but I hope
you
I am.
And actually, I think you're an inspiration, not just because of what you went through, but also because you face life with this positive attitude. So thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you.
So that was Glenda Jackson with her amazing story. And the one thing we've learned from Glenda and from Barbara, who we interviewed earlier via Skype, is that if there's one thing that is important in a relationship, if you are going through an illness or your partner's going through an illness, is to, if you're angry, if you're upset, if you're sad, whatever you are, you need to tell that person how you feel.
Yes, otherwise the person will not. Imagine you're not ready for that, to receive those kind of news, and the other person is also not ready. So it's like a bit of a shock. So talk about it, tell each other what you want, and I'm sure that will help greatly.
And I think the final thing is that let's not forget that it's very difficult for the person who is going through the illness, but it can also be very difficult for the person who is in that relationship looking after the person with the illness, because sometimes you don't know how to behave. You don't know if it's okay to say, are you okay? Because you don't want the person to feel that like you're having pity for them. So whatever way you feel, if you say, look, I don't know how to deal with this illness, tell the person that. Tell the person what the line is that you can't cross. What is it you can't say? What is it you can't do? And as long as you're honest with each other, you have a really good chance of making your relationship still a very good relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay? We went on a little road trip, Elena and I stumbled upon a half marathon and I just ended up there. Not really true. We planned this for a while and we were trying to raise money for a worthy cause, but here's how it went. Have a look.
Do start in two halves, as you've probably noticed. The left-hand side of the road will square left and go down the slope. The right-hand side will go in pretty much a straight line.
So I'm about a mile in, and I don't want to sprint too long because I don't want to finish last. But things are going well. I'll see you a little bit later. See you later. So my target was to finish in just under 2 hours, and surprisingly I did it. 1 hour and 50 minutes and 30-something seconds. I'm very happy about that. My knees are killing me, but don't forget, we're doing this for a great cause, for the Where You Going initiative of the VYG.
Well, as you can see, I'm here with the winner. Maybe not today's winner, but my winner for sure. Well, James, congratulations on doing the Morrison's great. He doesn't even let me finish. Half marathon in Birmingham. Now, tell me, what was the most enduring part of this marathon?
I think the toughest part was the last 2 miles, because my knees were really hurting. The cardio was okay, but my knees were really hurting. The good thing is that other runners, they're very supportive, so if they run past you, they cheer you on, they say, come on, you can do it. So there wasn't really a competition going on. So it was tough, but it was really good because everybody supports you as well. The crowd was great as well.
Yeah, I can see the environment is really, really good. Now tell me something, what was the most exhilarating part of the marathon?
I think there were 2 really nice parts. As you're going through the course and it gets quite tough, there are people who are not paid by the organizers of the marathon, and they just stand there giving you sweets and chocolates just to cheer you on, and that's really good. And of course, the finish line. I was actually surprised because I thought I was going to do like 2 hours and 15 minutes, but as I saw the clock as I was running past, it was 1:59, so I'm happy. My target was just under the 2-hour mark, so I'm happy.
Now tell us about your cause today. Why are you running?
Well, the cause is the most important thing. I was raising funds. I am still raising funds for the Where You Going initiative, which is a group that works in conjunction with the VYG to work with youth up and down the UK to lead them to a better life, a better lifestyle, to Many of them are...
Point them in the right direction.
Exactly. Many of them are in gang-related activities, so we bring them out of that lifestyle and we help them out.
Back to the studio now. Wasn't that brilliant? I'm so proud of you, James. Well done.
It wasn't brilliant, but I finished the race. I didn't quit.
Proud of you.
And this month is Stand Up for Cancer Month. If you'd like to donate to fight cancer, then you can visit also the site that is there on your screen and donate through there.
Absolutely. Until next time, see you here, same time, same place.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that's all for today's show. Don't forget to tune in next time for another topic on the Love Talk Show.
Love tearing me apart from the inside out, so I can see